The news continues in Southern Africa, where the percentage of women using contraception in the world is seeing the greatest growth in Africa in years. This is according to FP2030 Measurement Report 2022 released recently. The report shows that Sub-Saharan Africa has seen a 5% rise in the use of modern birth control over as many years, compared to a global average of just 2%. In low and lower middle income countries, contraceptive prevalence among all women has increased from 31.9% to over 35% in the past decade. This means that 1 in 3 women of reproductive age is now choosing to use a modern contraception. Well, I'm now being joined on the news by the Executive Director of Family Planning 2030. I want to say thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sam Kiliso.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Thank you. All right, so what more can you tell us about the FP 2030 report? Which countries would you say would actually do a research on? Which countries did you conduct this research on? Let's start with that.
Yes, so the FP 2030 annual measurement report is global. Even though we did regional analysis for Southern Africa, it is a global report. Sub-Saharan Africa, as you have alluded, we have seen a sharpest rise of the number of women who are using modern contraception. So this actually we have included 15 countries where we did the sub-analysis, and that is at about 10 countries in West Africa and 5 in East and Southern Africa.
All right. Well, as a medical doctor, let's take a look at this. What are the obstacles, or rather challenges, that you have observed that make some women not want to use contraceptives?
Shall we start by saying that what you've just reported shows that many women want to use modern contraception. In fact, our report reveals that right now where we are, about 371 million women worldwide are using modern contraception. And this is 87 million more than a decade ago, and the sharpest rise is in Southern Africa. Yet, we still have an unmet need of about 217 million. Why is this so? This is because of many social and cultural issues that women face in accessing modern contraception. At times, it is access to commodities. At times, it is beliefs. At times, it is myths. But many at times, it is just unawareness, lack of information, especially among adolescents and youth, where we are seeing the greatest need for contraception.
Well, anyway, looking at the report, it shows an increase of women choosing contraceptives. Now, what can you attribute to this too as well?
So we are seeing how we have leveled supply chains to make sure that there is commodity availability, especially at the point of use for women and girls. This includes in clinics, and also using there's something that we call subcutaneous injections, where in some countries we are seeing a sharp rise of self-care methods where women actually could, instead of going to the clinic, they could actually use contraception themselves, they could inject themselves. We are also seeing that this sharp increase is due to knowledge, due to rise in education, even where women are more aware that for them to unlock more potential that is in their lives, they need to either delay having a child or even use it for birth-spacing. So they're using contraception for birth-spacing. This awareness could also be attributed to rising levels of girl education worldwide, and especially in Sub-Saharan Africa. But we are also seeing efforts of organizations like FP 2030, working with our partners globally like UNFPA, USAID, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and I must applaud the country governments that have enabled women and girls to access family planning through various ways, especially improving service delivery at a health facility level. Remember that women will go back to a quality service if they've gotten one, and they will refer many of their friends. So kudos to governments that have taken this as a serious variable and input to their economic development.
All right. Taking a look at some of the points you've made, female and girl child education and so on. But I mean, what are some of the family planning 2030 commitments and your goals to achieving a contraceptive prevalence among all women? What are some of the family planning arrangements that you do have?
So as you know that FP2030, we don't necessarily deliver some of these programs on the ground, but we accelerate, we amplify what needs to be done globally. For example, governments need to increase domestic resources. You know, most of the finances around family planning have remained fairly flat over the past 10 years, since 2012, when this movement was born. So it's encouraging that we're seeing some governments committing to buy their own commodities. The second thing that FP2030 is doing is convening these difficult dialogues to enable countries. When a country makes an FP2030 commitment, it avails itself to actually have access to global goods, meaning they've got access to researchers, they've got access to supply chains, they've access to information and knowledge on how family planning ladders up not only to gender equality, but it ladders up to economic development and ensuring that they do not leave half of their populations aside. So FP2030 is that convener of these dialogues at a global level, at a regional level, where we've devolved our architecture to have regional hubs, and we have country-led programs that really are accelerating family planning. One other thing that is happening to you and your listeners is that we are seeing what we call high-impact practices being taken up by countries where they know if a woman has just delivered and then she starts using contraception, we can make that available and accessible for many women. So we are accelerating the availability of these high-impact practices across the globe.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us, ED Family Planning, Dr. Sam Kaliso. Thank you.
Thank you.